Hey guys. It's
Hello,
live.
we are live.
Hi.
Welcome to our September live show. We were originally going to do this on Soku's channel, but somehow last minute we had to change, and it's been stressful. Okay, so I need to see if we're doing great. Okay.
Kira's coming. Just give me a
Yeah, we're waiting on one more person, and let's see. I think everything's working out. If you guys can hear us and stuff, make sure to put that in the chat.
Kira said she's backstage.
She is. I don't see. Maybe did she get the new link?
I know, that's what
Wait,
I asked.
no, I do.
Yeah, she says she
she's right
sees us.
there. Oh. Okay,
Yay, there's Kira.
welcome.
Hello.
All right, so I guess we can introduce ourselves first. And basically, I'm Troy, and this is my channel, and I read books. And I'm 15, and I live in North Carolina, and yeah, that's me.
All right, well, hi guys, I'm Nitty. My channel is Nitty Ready Reads. I live in Georgia. That's me.
Hi guys, I'm Eric. My channel's Break Even Books, and I live in the great northern Ontario of Canada, where it's nice and cold here now.
Hey guys, I'm Kira. I live in Florida, and yeah, it's just now starting to get a little bit cold here. So
Hi guys, I'm Sakroop. I am 13. Right now I am in New Jersey. And my channel is called Sakroop and Books.
And then, hi, I'm Elise. My channel is The Petite Punk. I'm from Illinois, around Chicago, and I'm a college student with this YouTube channel.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to all of these people, wonderful people. Okay, and yeah, welcome to our book club live show. If you didn't know, we read a book every month, and we talk about it. And this month we read "Clap When You Land" by Elizabeth Aspinall. Yes,
this gorgeous book.
I love how there's two covers. They're both really
yeah,
right.
I love how,
which one's
and they
newer?
both kind of have like the same theme as well, like
Yes.
separating. I
I
like it.
even have the hardcover underneath the dust jacket. It's so pretty.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's awesome. You can't.
Oh my god! That's so cool.
Ooh, that is really nice.
I always love when publishers do something cool with their dust jackets.
Mhm.
Some publishers just do nothing, and it's
I like
weird.
how in the paperback they did this, where they have like the little plane
Yeah, that is
here,
cool.
Aw.
and then on the other one,
I think both
where
editions
is
are
it?
really nice.
the little other planes connecting over here.
Aw.
And for our October book, we are reading Troy Chose The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan.
Yes, I'm so excited.
So I don't know whose channel that's going to be on, but that is our next book.
Yes. Also, side note, I just love your bookshelf, Elise. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Just reorganized. Yeah.
I know. I just watched that
Years
reorganization
now.
video.
Yeah. So I guess, am I still technically like the leader of this, or do you want to do it, Troy?
Yeah, please.
You can do it.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to start with like 20 to 30 minutes, we don't know, of non-spoilery thoughts. So in the beginning, we will be all like giving our thoughts about it, what star rating we gave, and we will just give our non-spoilery thoughts, and then we will get into spoilers for the latter half. So I guess I'll start us off with non-spoilery thoughts, or like a summary. Maybe I should start with the summary.
Yeah.
So this book is about Camino, who lives in the Dominican Republic, and about Yahara, who lives in New York City, and they both share the same dad. They don't know that though. And one day their dad dies, and so while they both have to like tackle their grief, they also find out about each other and have to like meet each other and like get to know each other and like connect over the grief. And yeah, that's what the book is about. I rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a beautifully written story, and that both the characters are amazing. I did think that it took a little while to get into, which is why I docked off 0.5 stars, because I feel like the action started coming in like 200 pages in. But I feel like Elizabeth Acevedo did really characterize these characters well. So that's why I gave it 4.5 stars. I did really enjoy it. So I guess, Elise, if you want to start us off with your thoughts.
Yeah. So this is actually the second time I've read this book. I love Elizabeth Acevedo. I really never stopped talking about her. And for this round, I actually listened to the audiobook. First time I read this book, totally agree. It was a bit slow to get into. I actually almost returned it from the library. And that ended up being one of my favorite books. But I will very bravely say that I actually think I liked the audiobook more than the physical book. Elizabeth Acevedo's narration was just so beautiful, and it's a dual perspective book. So there's two characters, it's both of the sisters, and that was clearly stated in the physical book. I mean, it wasn't hard to tell. Each chapter was labeled with their names, but I just love the different voices in the audiobook. It was so emotional, but I really liked that with the two perspectives, you really could see why maybe these characters at first didn't like each other and just all the confusion and pain. So yeah, I also rated it, I think either 4 or 4 stars, but really it's been one of my favorite books this year.
Is it me now? Are we going like
Yeah.
up and around?
I was watching some
Circle.
of Elizabeth Acevedo's like slam poetry, and it was amazing.
He's excellent. Yeah.
It is absolutely amazing.
I actually had a question for you, Elise. When you listened to it on audiobook, was it like when she was narrating it, was it narrated as if it's like as if she was saying like poetry?
So well, that's actually what I was wondering too, because since it's in a stanza format, it wasn't really narrated like that. It was narrated as if she was just reading sentences like normal dialogue, but there was definitely very certain stanzas that were very poetic, like you could tell with the rhythm and meter and like words that rhymed, that she did emphasize in a certain way that sounded like poetry. Not sure if I explained that.
No, that's cool.
In a good way, but yeah, it was narrated like a normal audiobook, but there was definitely this more poetic element to it.
Yeah, because when I was reading it, like this is the first book that I've ever This is the first book that I've ever read that was in verse.
Wow.
Like I've never experienced a book in verse before, other than like an actual poetry book, and I thought it was fantastic. And like when I was reading it at the beginning, I was reading it as if it's like a poetry style in my head, but then it just kind of all blended together as like a seamless like story. And I don't know, like it didn't really impede my reading of it at all. I thought it was beautifully written, and it was fantastic. I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 as well, because I just had such a great time with this book. And I mean, it was definitely easier to read because of the way it was written, but like I flew through it. I started it 2 days ago and finished it last night, and it was just, yeah, it was so beautiful. That's like all I can say about it. I made a tweet saying this book is beautiful because it just is. It's so good.
Yeah.
I really liked it, and I really liked all the relationships that were built and formed, and the exploration of existing relationships and what to do once they end. It was just like, I have so many thoughts on this book, and it's hard to put it all into words because it was just so good. But yeah, I really liked it.
So this was the second Elizabeth Acevedo book I read. I read The Poet X either this year or last year. I don't know. Time is an illusion. I don't really know what time is what right now. But I personally like The Poet X better because I think there was one main character in that one. It's written the same way, like in verse format. And in this one, there's two of them. And in the beginning, I agree with the earlier comments that the pacing was a little bit off, so the characters were a bit indistinguishable to me. But as the story went on, like as everyone said, it was just great, and I thought everything was done exceptionally. I didn't rate it because I didn't go into this book thinking I would rate it because I didn't rate The Poet X. But if I had to, I'd give it around like the 4-star range as well.
Okay, so for my rating, I would probably rate it like 5 stars. I don't know. I just thought it was great. And like some of you guys made like comments about like the beginning. I thought it was actually very quick to the point. Like I guess like it started with the initial like plane crash and stuff. Like it was very quick to me. And although like I guess between that and then like them meeting, I guess that was a little bit long. But I just thought it was like really like to the point, and then like we just got to like explore like their grief like in this like beautifully like written like poetry. Like I just thought it was like really like beautifully written, and like the characters were just like really real and like realistic, and I just felt like I could just like explore them for the longest time. I just thought it was just really like beautiful, like a really beautiful book.
This is my second time I reread this for this book club. I read this a few months ago and proceeded to immediately read The Poet X afterwards on audio. So I re-listened to this on audiobook, which I actually really enjoyed that experience also, because like I found like that I really like enjoyed like anything like in verse, like preferential on audio like versus like reading it physically, because I feel like I get like more intensity like of emotions like in the voice. I love this. I really liked it too. I think like my thoughts like though are concurrent like with what we've discussed like about like the voices like not being easily to differentiate, especially towards the beginning, because at the beginning like they sounded very 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 similar to each other. So I kind of struggled like with that like a little bit, but other than that, like I mean everything's like written so beautifully in this, and I just really really enjoyed it. And I just this just actually like this, I've actually read everything so far that Elizabeth Acevedo has written, and I think The Poet X is still my favorite, but this is definitely second.
So it seems like The Poet X is one of her better books.
They're all good. I've read all of them.
Yeah.
They're great.
I need to read the third one soon.
That
Yeah,
was
toward the end, like there was that one portion, like I think it was like 100 pages where she didn't even put like chapter headings. They didn't even tell us where the character started, and I felt like we could differentiate them because like I knew when Camino or Yahira was talking, so I felt like we got to know the characters, but it was slow in a way. So like, what did you guys think about the characters in general? Did you like them? Did you think they were real in a way?
Definitely. I especially like the side characters, like her girlfriend and then her best friend that was like pregnant. I thought that relationship was really nice. Like it was just adorable.
Yeah, I did not know there was gonna be queer representation in this, but that was great. I think her name was Dre.
Dre, yeah.
Yeah. And then
He was a great character.
Yeah, Dre was such a minor, well, she was a side character, but this is such a minor detail, but there's such an emphasis on her like plants and like being nurturing in that way, and I don't know why that small detail just like made the whole story for me. I just loved it so much. Like you said, I loved all those little relationships within the story.
Yeah, she definitely like Elizabeth Acevedo definitely went to like the plants a lot, and like we like every single time we thought about Dre, we definitely thought about the plants, and maybe she was like making that a metaphor of like how she nurtures. I thought that's what I was thinking when I was reading it, but maybe that's just me. That's what I thought, that she was like nurturing the plants. What did you guys think about the writing style? Did you like it? Was it too like lyrical, or did it just hit? Like, was it just beautiful?
Perfectly.
It hit.
It hit. It definitely hit for me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, sometimes when I was reading it in my head, I would like go into poetry phrasing and like say it like that in my head, but I didn't do it
Yes.
too often. But I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. Like that just made it more fun for me.
Yeah, and like this is a normal thing in poetry, but like when she'd break it off, I kind of like started reading it like that, and sometimes it got a little weird because I didn't understand like why she was breaking it off at certain points, but I ended up like appreciating it. So we got like a really intellectual and interesting question from Rose, who said, "Why do seagulls fly over the sea?" Completely relates to this book. I just wanted to share that.
That's a good question. Somebody else take this one.
I just wanted to say that. I should have read the audiobook.
Okay.
Audiobook is so good.
Oh, it's so much. I feel like I'm like talking. Okay, anyways, I thought like just like the way like she would like repeat some like different like just some of them like I guess like passages like really stood out to me. Just like the way she repeated some different types of words and like just like the way the narrator kind of read it, like just like with different like tones and like that's just why I love reading audiobooks, because like the narrators like are kind of like actors, and they're like really like acting out their emotions to the story, and I just love it.
Yeah, I've read quite a few books in verse, but I have to admit, Elizabeth Acevedo, and of course, including Clap a New Land, that has to be my favorite narration style. There's definitely sometimes when I read books in verse where I feel like they're emphasizing the poetry aspect too much, like weird formatting, a bunch of weird spaces, and I think sometimes that can be artistic, but I often find it quite distracting. So I think Elizabeth Acevedo did a really good job of balancing the story with the creativity of poetry.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
What did you guys think about Yahira's mom? Did you guys like her as a character? What did you guys think about
I
Yahira's
was really shocked to find out they were friends. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And that was a major
Yeah.
plot point too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of made her out to be like really materialistic, like especially towards the beginning, like when she started like buying like up a bunch of stuff, you know, like, so I mean, I don't think she was meant to be like super likable like at the beginning, but like as time like went on, it felt like she got more likable.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just like we got to know her a little more, and like her like caring side started to show a little more, and like especially toward the end when we'll get to like spoilers, she did like a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a really good character growth story from start to
Yes.
finish. And I
Yeah.
really liked that about her.
What other aspects of this story did you guys like?
Oh, what was his name? I liked the little dog that like hung out with
Oh.
Camino.
Chalada or something? What was
Yeah,
his
it was a fun name, but like I liked that addition of the little dog that just followed her around and was like her protector.
name? Yeah. And I also really liked Camino's relationship to the ocean. I just really liked those
I was really about to say that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I loved those scenes, and like how it was like her safe haven, but that, and like how like as we get into it later, like with spoilers, like how Elsior kind of like came on that, like those scenes were always just like tense, and I really like enjoyed that, I guess.
It's really nice how each of the characters are kind of tied to something, like nature and Dre, the sea, and Camino, like chess and yeah, like it's really it's like it tells them a lot about their dynamics when you're comparing a noun like the sea to like a person, or like chess, which is like about winning, to a person. Like it's nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
didn't-
also there was like one thing that like I don't know if it's just because I don't live near an ocean or I have that, but she had multiple times where she was swimming in the ocean and then she's like, yeah, and I was just laying on my back floating there, and here I am thinking like, what if a shark comes up and eats her right now? Like that's terrifying. I would never do that. Maybe in shallow water, but
I honestly wouldn't put it under Elizabeth Acevedo to do that. I don't know.
yeah, I know.
What did you think about the father?
I was just about to mention that. I thought his characterization was so interesting because there was such a intriguing balance of making him seem like such a horrible person, but also making him seem like such a loving, caring father. So
Yeah.
especially to see that perspective through the eyes of both of his daughters, I really thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm always like really interested when I read books about like characters who like right away like major characters die and like we get to know about them through the eyes of someone else. I always think it is super interesting to like see how that's done, because sometimes like those people are mythologized because we need to know about them, and I think it was really well done in this book. We really got to know him even though he never spoke directly because he was dead.
Do you still think he's a good person despite hiding so many things from people in his lives?
That's a good question. I think he was just a person. He had some faults. He had a lot of good stuff, and he was just a person. What did you guys think? because he was definitely a really important person in this book.
Yeah. I kind of felt like they said like that he like lived like in long periods of time like in different spaces, and I feel like it'd be so hard to do that like without feeling like homesick or lonely or anything else like that. So I can't fault him for being human when you feel like that kind of like, and the settings like between like the Dominican Republic and New York like were so rapidly different like that, he's like he set up like two different spaces for himself, and he wasn't just one person, he was a little bit of both, and I almost feel like that represented that.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think he was a man that meant well, but just had so many conflicts in his life that he was just trying his best to make every single thing work, when in reality definitely cannot make everyone happy when there's so many things going on that have affected so many people.
Yeah.
Another thing, I was wondering your thoughts on the buildup of them meeting. Like, did y'all think they'd immediately like hate each other, or immediately like feel like they had a connection? Like, I didn't know how to feel. I was like, I don't know what's happening.
I thought it was well done. I really liked how it was done. I thought it
was reasonable. I definitely think the way that the characters interacted was realistic. I do think it was a bit quick. I really wanted to see more of their interaction and maybe a bit more of the aftermath of them meeting. I did feel like it was a lot of build up to this physical interaction of them meeting, and then just not a lot of them actually interacting. So I did want to see more, but what we did get, I did think that was well done.
Yeah. It just comes back to like that pacing issue that like some of us had. I had a question and then I forgot about. Oh, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely related to like how like there were some parts where they talked about like how can you claim a culture that like you like she hasn't been to the Dominican Republic, like how can she claim that culture when she hasn't even like been there? I definitely related to that in a way, like as someone who's like, how can I claim like an Indian culture like when I haven't been there all that much? I definitely related to that in a way.
It's
You
also
guys-
like what you bring from your culture. So
Mhm.
yeah, I thought it was really nice, especially the author's note at the end when she was explaining that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always love when authors use author notes.
Me too.
All right. Do you guys have any other like non-spoilery thoughts?
I've been trying to hold back all my spoilery thoughts. So
Me too.
I feel
I'm
like that's
when do we
always
get-
the case.
When do we get to this part so we can actually just talk?
I guess it's now.
All right. So, if you guys have not read the book, leave. Unless you want to be spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, if
So,
you
yeah.
never like kind
I mean, sometimes I like to be spoiled if I'm not actually gonna read the book.
yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't care if I'm spoiled for like Twilight because I know I'm never gonna read it.
That's so true.
Oh, Twilight.
Yeah. Miss Awesome Saucy said, like, I think that's false. You can claim a culture and not have been to the actual place. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just think like it's like an interesting question to just like think about.
Yeah, I mean, personally, like, I mean, like just for example, like, I mean, I'm half Italian, and my great grandparents like were full Italian, and they grew up speaking like a little bit of Italian. They brought their food, like how they cooked it, everything with them. So I feel like it's been ingrained, but I've never been to Italy,
Yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know, like I claim that heritage like without have actually been there, without ever having been there, So I feel like
Yeah.
you can claim it like without actually being like there, because your family members like that were there bring that with them, and then like they make that a part of you, like, and they make it like, and they immerse you in their culture like that they grew up in.
Yeah, like even if I only go to India like maybe an average like 2 weeks, a year. Like there's still so much like Indian culture ingrained in me, like the Indian food I eat, like
Mhm.
I guess kind of if I have an accent, like some people say I have an Indian accent, kind of like it's just ingrained in me in a way. I like it's part of me, I guess. So let's go into spoilery thoughts now. What did
Who
you?
wants to
All
be
right, let's
spoiled?
go to the biggest of big scene. Well, depends on what you think was the biggest scene. I thought the biggest scene was either like the funeral or the El Ciro scene. Which one do you guys want to talk about?
Wait, I totally forgot about the funeral.
I found that the funeral was very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like,
It's probably like a page or two for all that build up.
yeah, I know there was a lot of build
Yeah.
up to the actual funeral, and then it was just over so quickly.
Yeah.
I wondered like too, like if like the reason like why like they kind of like didn't focus like on that is because after a while it became less about the father's death and more about a celebration of life, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a
So I
very
kind
good
of
point.
yeah, because like I don't know, like I was thinking about like that, and it's just because like everything like that we interact like with after like the fact, it seems like, you know, like it was about like, because like they do say like that funerals are more focused like for people like for the living, and it just I don't know, like that was like really emotional. Like that part like was just really emotional. I feel like yeah, that's
Yeah, because I feel like this is a book talking about grief and like dealing with that and like getting past it. And I feel like maybe that was a reason why it was like a little glossed over. Maybe. What do you guys think?
Definitely. I also think like for my thoughts, I guess like kind of like what Kira was saying, like basically like they kind of started focusing more on like the relationship between the two sisters
Mm-hmm.
after like kind of second half, like after they met and like dealing with like their grief together, I guess, as a whole.
Yeah, I also really like the exploration of like siblings in this
Yeah,
story
that was
yeah.
and how like
Personally,
they
to
were
me,
finding that out.
yeah. Personally, to me, like I'm fortunate enough to not know anyone who's had to deal with death or like in person. So I personally couldn't relate to it, but at the same time, I still could understand the emotions and what she was trying to convey. And about what you're saying about the sibling dynamic, I honestly think that should have been explored a bit more. Like we could have got
Yeah.
some.
Because like it took so long to even get there that when we did, it wasn't really explored that much.
Speaking about that, what did y'all think about the first time how she slid into her sister's DMs? Like, hey, I thought that was so funny.
I loved it.
I half expected Yahira to just like cancel that, to like not accept the request. I don't know why.
Yeah,
That
and she said out of nowhere, like, how did you deal with him? What were you like when he died? I'm like, whoa. Like,
I thought it was so interesting to see their different reactions to each other, because when Camino finds out that she has a sister, she's like, oh, like I have actual more family in the world that I didn't know about. And then Yahira's like upset about the fact at first
Yeah.
that she has a sister. So it was really interesting to see how they differed in opinion on having another family member they never knew about.
Yeah. It also became like more complex because of what was it called? Like the 500,000 like
oh,
yeah.
Mhm.
I forget like the terms for that, but it definitely became like more complex because of that and like who got that money.
Mhm.
That was like a major plot point for some of it.
The author kind of alluded to this towards the end, but do you think the two sisters' opinions on each other changed by the end? Because it did end with a little bit of scandal and maybe not the best kind of relationship with each other.
I definitely think like as they got to know each other.
I think it showed too that Yahira was very good at forgiveness, because like you can see that Camino is doing everything she can to like have the life that she has dreamed of her entire life, and so she definitely cuts corners to get to that. And I find that it's very refreshing to see that Yahira just like understands her and forgives her for what she does so
Yeah.
quickly. Like it is also a little bit unrealistic. Like I feel like you'd have a definitely like different reaction to that right off the bat, but it was also nice to see at the same time, if you know what I mean. I'm like,
Yeah. And I feel like for Camino, like it was harder to do that because of like the situation she was in and like how hard it had been to like forgive because of like what she'd been through. Like she was not fully orphaned, right? Like she had already lost her mom and didn't really see her dad all that much. And now losing this, it just made it so much harder for her.
Yeah.
speaking of which, how awesome of a character was Tia? Her like
Yes.
aunt.
Yes.
Yes.
I
We
love
stand.
her. Yeah.
She was amazing.
Mm-hmm. She definitely backed up Camino like any chance she got. Like, and she was always in her corner. It was so wonderful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Crystal said it for sure made me want more at the end to see more of the sisters' dynamic with now being together. Yeah, because we really only got to scratch the surface of that, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really do wish we got more of that relationship because I feel like the book, as we mentioned earlier, I think the book stopped focusing on their father and more on their relationship. So I did want to see more of that because I think in the end it was about those two coming together and less about the death of their father because it was that death that brought them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I have to like leave for like 1 minute. I'm coming back. I don't know why.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, so I guess you could relate like firsthand to their experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which one was the older one? Was it Yahara?
I don't remember.
I think it was Yahara because
Yeah.
Camino was like turning 17 on the day of the funeral. And I feel like Yahara was like 2 months older than her or something. I believe. Anyway.
I think it was 2 months. I'm just trying to remember like which one because like I was trying like to go back through it like earlier just to make sure like it was really fresh in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Um,
That's quick for her father to just switch up like that in 2 months.
Yeah.
Yep. I also really liked her her friend Carlene, I want to say.
Me
is her name.
too.
Yeah, and it was very interesting to see how like her going through giving birth over in the Dominican Republic is like so different from what it would have been in New York, and how they had to deal with having a premature child and just get through that. Like that was a pretty intense scene, but I think it was really well done.
Oh yeah, congrats, Troy. About 100 videos.
Yay!
That's huge.
That's awesome. That's dedication.
Gonna be very
Yeah.
proud of you.
For like 4 hours per video, that's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
I'm thinking about it. Okay.
Okay. So what were you talking about? Because I had to leave.
We were talking about like the differences of like the Dominican life and the New York life, especially with El Cerro, I believe was his name. It was really reminiscent of the Poet X, I believe, if some of you all have read it. But that was one of the main plot lines, like that predatory behavior and how girls deal with that. So it was nice to see how it was explored a bit differently here.
I also think that subject really worked well with the verse format because it's definitely something sensitive and delicate and emotional. So I thought Elizabeth Acevedo did a good job of using poetry to make that kind of topic readable, but still obviously something that's terrible and sensitive and something we should be careful about when we're talking about it.
Yeah, I think she really handled it well and talked about it really well in this book.
Yeah.
What did you think about Yahara and like her like the relationship between Yahara and Chess and her dad, and like the secret, and like how she knew that her dad had another wife, but like how she had to deal with like not talking about that with him before he died. What do you guys think about like all of that?
I thought it was really greatly written, especially because like I feel like she associated her dad with chess a lot because I guess she or he was the one to kind of introduce it to her, and so I definitely liked seeing that. And then like I guess she kind of quit chess as she found out about it. So yeah, I just kind of saw that connection.
I definitely thought it was really interesting. Does the chat have any questions about this book? Because I feel like we've talked about like the major plot points, I guess, like the major things that happened. We're probably forgetting some things. Oh, what did you guys think about the Clap When You Land? Like how like the title was included, like how am I supposed to say? Like how the title was used to describe, and like how the title came up in the book toward the end. I liked it.
Yeah.
I did too. I think like I don't know. It's almost like once again like it's almost like the celebration of like coming home. You know, celebration of being alive and like having a safe flight. Like a celebration of like arriving somewhere, safely. I don't know. That's just kind of how I felt about the Clap When You Land.
I liked it.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have made that the title. I don't know. I felt like it was kind of a minor point, but when it was described at the end, I did really like it. I feel like it definitely tied everything together.
Yeah, I always love when like the title is mentioned during the book. It just always makes me happy for some reason.
Yeah.
Just a Person said, I lived in Central America for 3.5 years with my mom and sister, and I can say that medical attention outside the U.S. in like a third world country is very different from inside the U.S. What do you guys think about that? I definitely like agree, as like I don't know, I definitely have like personal experience with that, with like one of my relatives like having to deal with like how bad like the doctors are in India. What do you guys think? Any thoughts? That's definitely
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess like every time I think about like medical attention and stuff is like the people like getting access to it, because some people don't have access to it because it's too expensive. And so like and not only that, like when you do get access to it, you're not always guaranteed the right amount of medical attention or like the proper diagnosis. So I just feel like it's kind of like a struggle, like, like in the medical field like itself. And I don't know like if that's like, because like I personally have only been like one other place like outside the country, which was Costa Rica, but like I never had any interaction like with the medical system in a different country.
I think it's definitely like a really complex issue that like could span an entire live show or like on its own, but it's definitely really important. So Katie said to like not put this on screen, but if someone enjoyed this book, what would they recommend for a similar read? Oh, hi, Mare.
Excluding Elizabeth.
If you're looking for another book in verse, this doesn't really discuss siblings or death in the way that Clap When You Land did. But if you're looking for another book in verse that's super emotional, easy to read, but just gorgeous, I would recommend Punching the Air. I've already read it twice.
Oh, yes. I love that.
Twice in a month.
That was so good.
It is
Same
so
thing.
good.
Audiobook and physical book are amazing. It's about a Black boy who is incarcerated for something that he didn't do, and it's about the prison system and his experience. And one of the co-authors is one of the people who was in the Central Park 5. So if you know that case, yeah, it was so good. Definitely something I would recommend if you like Elizabeth Acevedo's style of writing.
Yeah.
Also, I really liked A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds.
Yes.
That took like place like within like 3 minutes, and it was actually like a long book, but like it was all about like his like like coming down like in an elevator after one of his relatives got shot and killed. And it was really intense, but like it was amazing because like it really like broke down like his thought process, like in his like and like and kind of like his dead family members coming to talk to him and friends like trying to talk him out of like doing something that he could be life changing and get him into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Jason Reynolds writes a lot of good poetry. If you do like Jason Reynolds' poetry, another one I really enjoyed was For Everyone. It's like more of his underrated. It's one of his more underrated books, but I also really enjoyed it.
I haven't heard of these. Well, I've heard of Punching in the Air, but I haven't heard of Jason Reynolds, so I'm going to be adding these to my list of books to look up.
I think I heard something like where that they're going to be making a graphic novel of Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, and like I'm so excited. I think I heard that somewhere, and I'm really excited.
Graphic novels are right up my alley.
Yeah.
A book that I'm reading right now that's kind of similar, just like it kind of has like a similar vibe, is The Hate We Give. I'm finally reading that by Angie.
Oh yeah.
And I just feel like it's so like it's not even written in verse, but it's just so poetic and so beautiful, and I've just been loving it.
Wait, which book
I
is
love
it?
Angie Thomas.
Angie Thomas, like her writing style doesn't jump out at you like maybe an Elizabeth Acevedo would, but it's just so good. I've loved all of her books. I cannot wait for Concrete Rose.
Me too.
I'm so excited. Do you guys have any other like spoilery things you want to say about the book?
Well, I have a question for y'all. Like, compared to the other books we've read in this book club, how would you like rank it? Personally, for me, this was my favorite out of all of them.
I would say Slay, definitely number 1. So good. I loved Slay. 2 would be Clap When You Land, and 3 would be What If It's Us.
I haven't read Clap When You Land and What If It's Us, and definitely putting Clap When You Land above What If It's Us.
I know that I rated Slay 5 out of 5, and this one only 4 out of 5, but I honestly feel like I liked this book more.
That's what I do all the time. I don't understand my own ratings.
I know. I go back in my videos and I'm like, that's what I gave that book? No, that's not right. So yeah, like even though I gave this one 4.5, I still feel like I had more enjoyment with this one. And it also might just be because I read Slay via audiobook, and like the difference in format might have been the reason why. But I don't know. I really liked this one a lot.
I mean, I think like you can really enjoy a book, but still not like give it 5 stars. Like, you
Definitely.
know what I mean? Like, you could really enjoy it and like love it to no end, but you could still like see that there are little flaws in it.
Yeah, I have a favorite shelf on Goodreads, and I'm pretty sure almost every book on that shelf I have not rated 5 stars, but still, like, they're my favorites.
Yeah, like, one of my favorite books of all time is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, but I only rated that book 4 stars.
Wow.
That's also a very good book.
Strange the Dreamer for me like was not a 5-star read, but like it's one that I can't stop thinking about, and it was this my biggest complaint like without though like it was this really slow burn. You have to be like very patient like with that book, but the poeticness like of that book like and how it focuses like on dreams was amazing.
I need to read Strange the Dreamer.
I know. I just got the whole series. It's hanging out somewhere behind my head, and I have to read it.
It's so good, so beautiful. Like I highlighted it. Like I put like little hearts like next to my favorite spots. Like so good.
I think we have like a few questions. Does anyone else want to like say their ratings?
For me, I think What If It's Us was my favorite. I just love that so much. And then probably Clap When You Land and then Slay.
Interesting.
I like that we have such differing like opinions on the books too. That's what's beautiful about the book club, is that we all have our own feelings on it.
That's why I love this book club, because we all just have different opinions, and that's amazing. Okay, so Just a Person said, I joined the stream like 20 minutes late, so maybe you already answered this. But what do you think of the author's writing style? I think we kind of already answered this, but we can answer it again. I really love the writing style. I thought it was so beautiful, and I think most people thought it was really beautiful.
I also think it varies in format because I listened to the Poet X via audiobook because everyone says, it's narrated by her and everything. And this one, I tried it physically, and I don't know which one I prefer because they're both excellent in their own way.
Mm.
I think what's interesting about the physical books is that you can actually see the way that she formats it because the words are broken up into stanzas. Some of them are spaced out more, and I do think that it affects the way you read it. You definitely might automatically pause when there's more spaces, and I think that adds to it. But then again, with the audiobooks, Elizabeth narrates it in the way that she wants it to be heard. So I think both formats give different interesting elements to the story.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this was like a comment from like a few minutes ago, but we didn't answer it, I don't think. So Miss Awesome Sauce, you said, what do you guys think about the theme of grief, and could any of you relate to it? I think we all liked how it was explored. We thought it was explored like really complexly and like good. I could definitely relate to it, and at parts I did get like a little emotional, but like, what did you guys think?
I could sort of relate to it, but I've never had to go through anything like that close. So I definitely liked how it was explored.
Yeah, I think that definitely like the exploration of grief was really beautiful because you got to see it from two different, very distinguished points of view. And like I could also, I kind of wish that the funeral was a little bit more of the book, because like having experience going to something like that and being a part of that, it's interesting to see how it's written again by somebody else and put into like the actual written format, and to see how these people connected. I mean, there were certain parts of the funeral scene which it wasn't even that long, but you read them and you're like, yeah, I relate to that, because I had to go to my best friend, his younger brother passed away, and so that was really hard being like just somebody going to the funeral as opposed to actually being a part of the people in the funeral. But I just wish that part was a little bit more explored in the book, because that is one of the most emotional parts that you'll get. And so, yeah, I think that would have been a little bit more interesting to see. But I did really enjoy getting to see how they both processed everything that was happening, because they were learning so much new information at the same time as having to go through such a hard thing of like losing their father. So it was really interesting to see how they both went through that and processed that grief in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sorry.
I was gonna say I completely agree with that. Although I do feel like it felt like the main characters were grieving the image of their father more than their actual father. Because clearly they were discovering a lot of new information about someone that they thought they knew. So I felt like a lot of the grief didn't just stem from the fact that their father had died, but also from the fact that someone died that they didn't actually know as well as they thought they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because like when you have, like when you're grieving like that, it's like you don't just have like the grief to contend with. You have like what that person meant to you, like in that spot that they occupied, like in your life. And for Camino, like for example, like it wasn't just like the fact that she was grieving him. She was also like having to worry about like where the money was going to be coming from, how they were going to support themselves. I mean, there was just like a lot more like to the grief, like than just the basis of grief. It was so much more than that for them, because it was a matter of how am I going to survive without this person?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question and then I forgot. Oh, what did you guys? I forget questions so many times. What do you guys think about like she talked about this in the author's note briefly, and it was also talked about in the story briefly, but like how media, like they talk about like a big event for like a week and then they move on. Like, what did you guys think about like how that was explored in this book? Because like the characters are gonna have to deal with that the rest of their lives, but the media is gonna move on pretty quickly.
I love that she mentioned that. I didn't love that. I don't love that that happens, but I like that she addressed that. Ironically, I used to be in Slam Poetry Club when I was in high school, and I would write poems about that, about how like we would move on from huge events in the media and just move on to the next event that's tragic. And it makes sense to me why that would be, because there's a lot to cover in the media, and why focus on one event when more events just keep occurring. But I do wish we had a way to publicize events more than, or like beyond just their initial happening, because after a tragic event like a plane crash, for example, happens, people are affected weeks and weeks and months and years after that event happens. And I feel like we really only address those events, like Elizabeth Acevedo said, for a week in the news, and then maybe something like the 10-year anniversary. And I feel like that really that kind of focus is more on the sensationalism and the shock rather than the actual victims themselves.
Yeah, because like you have to think that like the media, they need people to be watching their things, and if they're not talking about the most recent things that like everyone is thinking about and talking about, then they might not get as much views.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a book called Dear Edward, like that deals like with a young boy who is his entire family, his mother, his father, and his older brother all got killed in a car in the plane crash, and he was the only survivor. And so like they really like talked about like in that one, like about how like, and because like it kind of spanned like grief like over a period of 10 years, and they really dug into like how like grief like like is momentary for some people, and how others like it becomes a part of you, and you live and you breathe it, and it's like it's almost ingrained in you, because it's not just because somebody else can get over something like that, like it's life-changing for you, and then you have to live with it.
Yep. Just a person said to not put this up, but he said that they said that we've all experienced grief in some small way, in my opinion, because grief doesn't only come with death. It can come with the falling out with a friend or a child losing a stuffed animal. I definitely agree with
I definitely
that.
agree. There's so many things that you lose that you think are like a part of you, even if it's not death, and you like kind of. It's like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like what I'm trying to say is like even if it's not a person, there's certain things that make up who you are, and when you lose that, you kind of lose sight of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I also
this-
you can go.
No, that's fine.
And say I also like that was brought up, because I feel like, or especially in our culture in the U.S. here, well, I guess not all of us are in the U.S. Hi, Eric. Just we have this emphasis on hiding emotions, especially when they are negative emotions, and I feel like it's super easily to belittle emotions when they aren't seen as something huge. So if it's not the death of your father, then maybe it's not as significant, and you aren't seen as being able to grieve in the way that maybe you want to grieve. So yeah, again, I like that was brought up, because we do all have things we grieve about, even if they aren't huge life-changing events that are covered in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, this is like kind of stupid, but I remember in like 6th grade, maybe, I was in a water park, and I was wearing some goggles, and I was swimming on like, what's it called, like a lazy river, and suddenly I was playing with my goggles, and they like fell underwater, and they like dropped, and I was trying to find them, and I couldn't. And I remember being so sad that day that I could not find my goggles, because I wore them every time I went to a water park. And like that's like definitely a lower level of grief, but like that's also kind of grief in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
I was really sad about those.
I would say though, the lazy river is definitely the best part of the water park.
It is
Just saying.
though.
It's the most relaxing.
Yes. And
I
like
hate those ones where they like drop out the floor from underneath you and you just like go. Oh, freaks me out.
Oh no. No. Yeah, but I think like what Sophie was saying is like definitely valid. Like literally a lot of things can be considered rude.
yeah. With the lazy river, like I love getting lost on the lazy river. I don't know. Like my parents would like drop me and my brother off in like the lazy river. Tell us not to get too lost. Return in like maybe 5 minutes. We would stay in there for an hour maybe. Like it was so much fun. I don't know. Well, time always passes by way too quickly. We
Yeah, wow.
have
Think
5
about
minutes.
the last minute questions.
Mare said, grief comes in so many different forms, and it can be for different things. Love this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you guys have any like non-bookish questions, we can talk about those too.
Yeah. Or just like
I feel like we always do that. We're like, in like final 5 or 10 minutes, we just talk about like nothing related to the book.
yeah.
Just,
Katie
like,
asked how we are. Thank you, Katie.
Oh, I'm
Katie
doing
is
good.
like the
I'm
most
good.
wholesome
Exactly.
person. She's always here and always commenting. We stand Katie.
Yes, we
We
do.
do.
I haven't uploaded in a while, but I should do that.
Yeah, same. It's been so hard to try to upload living in this entirely new place. I have no I don't know where to upload. I have no clue where to film a video.
Do you have a roommate?
Uploaded today, but it was
Yeah, I have a
this
roommate.
video.
I have a roommate, so like right now I told him to like leave.
Are you at school?
Because like I don't know, I just like don't like filming or doing anything like that when someone else is in the room. I don't know why. I just don't.
Are
No,
you
I
like
get that.
at a boarding school with like another person, or
Yeah, so right now I'm like at boarding school like with someone else. So I have a roommate.
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely been different to be like an hour and a half away from like my family. And I definitely cried a lot like in the beginning days, but I'm getting used to it now. And I really like the school as well. And it's also weird to like live with someone completely random. But I also like him as a roommate. He's amazing.
Does he watch your channel?
He's not really into books, but he has subscribed and sometimes we just like meme about it.
You should put him in one of your videos.
What?
You should put him in one of your videos. That'd be so funny.
I could ask him. I don't know if he wants to.
Do you get the same roommate every year, or do you get different roommates?
I think I'm gonna get like it depends if I even want a roommate next year, but I don't think next year I'll have the same roommate. Yeah, Miss Awesome Saucy. That's like one of the reasons I'm like kind of here, like, cause it'll kind of prepare me for college, living by myself.
Yeah, I have no idea how I'm going to film when I go back to college because I'm at home right now with my parents because of COVID. My dorm isn't letting anyone, or my college isn't letting anyone dorm. I have not figured out yet how anyone films when you're not living
I don't know.
alone.
I don't know where I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah, I feel like I'd feel so awkward.
Yeah, but like also in like mid-November I'll be able to like go back home and stay until like throughout November and December. So that's at least good.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about our next summarize it.
I'm so excited. I've been wanting to read it for so long.
Same. I'm so excited about it. And
But I've also heard kind of mediocre or exceptional things about it. Like,
I think like What If It's Us? This is also gonna be like one of those like some of us may like it, some of us may not like it, and I'm super excited for that. But ironically, like this also talks about grief in like a big way. So what I know about this book is that it's about this girl who her mom dies, but she thinks that her mom turned into a bird, and so she goes to Taiwan to like follow the bird and find out about like her past and uncover family secrets. It sounds really like magical and fun, and lots of people have said amazing also not so amazing things about it. So super excited.
I'm excited for the Asian representation.
Yes. Super excited about that as well. Well, yeah. If anyone else has like any ending questions, I guess we could answer those.
Yeah, but any last?
Are you guys excited for The Astonishing Color of After?
I will say I hadn't heard of it until you guys mentioned it, so I'm intrigued. I did not know there's Asian reps, so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably won't be a part of the next one just because I have such a huge TBR right now. I mean, if I manage to get through all the other books that I have, then I can jump in and do this one, but we will see.
Yeah, but it also is like a bigger book as well. I'm pretty sure
I
it's
know.
like 400 something pages.
Oh,
450.
no.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to finish my September TBR because I put way too many
Same.
books on there, and then I'm like a completionist, so I have to finish it before I can move on.
Literally, I put 8 books on my September TBR and only read one of them. And that one I read wasn't even on my September TBR.
I marked it up in
That's
September
why I
and
go
again
to
after the
TBRs.
first time.
Yeah, at this point, like I'm making like monthly hopefuls, but like I'm such a mood reader that I have a hard time like sticking to it.
I'm such a mood reader. I don't know how anyone says, I'm going to read this book and this, like, what?
I made like a recent video like reacting to like old TBR videos. And it's like so funny because like I'm such a mood reader. But I don't know. I like making TBR videos because it's fun to like talk about the books you're excited for.
Hmm.
Even though you probably won't read like half the books you're saying you're going to read that month.
Yeah.
Yeah, my October TBR ended up being something like 15 books, which is hilarious because I'm not reading anywhere close to 15 books this month. So that'll
Yeah.
be fun.
It's fun to be like ambitious though about reading. Like I think that's so
Yeah.
beautiful that we are all so excited to read so many books.
It's also been like hard for me to get like to read that much right now because the school started again, and like I don't have a lot of time for reading, and even when I do, even when I don't have homework or clubs or anything, I'm just tired, I guess, and all I want to do is just like watch booktube videos.
Yeah, school has really taken over my book too. Motivation.
Last semester, I was so busy that I ended up putting like full textbooks on my Goodreads shelf and counted that as books.
I do that too.
I read them cover to cover.
Hey, those textbooks are no joke. Like, I mean, if you can make it
Exactly.
through a whole textbook, you deserve to put it on your Goodreads team.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm counting the book we're reading for humanities. We're reading the Odyssey, so I'm counting that as part of what I'm reading, even though we're probably not going to read it.
Legit book, so that definitely counts.
Yeah. And also because
Okay.
like the transition from like middle school to high school and like all like I didn't have that much work in middle school, but like now I'm getting so much work.
Just wait till college.
Yeah. So if
All
none
right.
of us have any final thoughts, thank you guys for watching. I think at the peak there were like 20 people watching, which always astounds me how many people are watching these live shows. Thanks for reading, and we'll see you guys next time, I guess. See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah, that's